Hello, chat. Hello. Muted alert. Muted. I was delivering all the secrets. Yeah, it seems to be. Now we hear you. Perfect. Yes. Hey, everyone. I am back. I'll just rephrase what I just said. Almir here. Good to be with you all. Last week I was in Korea for G-Star. I did a talk on Payday, on you, the Payday community, talking about how lovely all of you are and how important it is for us to work closely with you. And on that note, we are back with yet another stream, this time with me. Elizabeth is with us in chat. We've got Sebastian with us, our mystery man in the backseat driving. And then we have a guest with us today, Joakim, who is one of our amazing animators of Payday. Hello, Joakim.
Hello, and hello everyone that's watching. My name is Joakim, so I'm a senior animator on Payday, and I'm the lead animator for Payday. So yeah, I'm here just talking about animations, I suppose.
Yes, so the topic today, we will not be playing Payday 3 today, we'll be talking to Joakim. So if you have questions about animations in Payday, now's the time to ask them. Sorry chat, my mom is calling me. Give me a moment. Hej, jag är och jobbar, vi får höra sen. Sorry, chat. That was my mom calling. She would not stop calling me. Anyway, so Joakim is with me here today. Very excited about that. Almir is in trouble, says Higgy. No. It's nothing like that. She just called me, assuming I could pick up. Anyway, we're going to talk about Payday 3 animations, because we've got some cool new stuff coming in. But before we start talking about the here and now and what's coming before end of November, because if you were watching last week's stream, Elizabeth mentioned that the two free heists and all of the other content that we've got planned with that update is coming before end of November. So that is very exciting. Stealth Master Flex says, you're grounded. Oh yeah, now I'm definitely am. I clicked my mom on the phone, yeah, so now I'm definitely grounded. But anyway, I wanted to start everything off by talking about you, Joakim, talking about your history with Payday, because if I recall correctly, you've been working with Payday for 10 years. Is that true?
Yeah, a matter of fact, I started as an intern on Payday 2, and that was probably 10.5 years ago. And from there, from the internship, I then got a junior role, and then slowly climbing up the ladder, so mid-level, and then eventually a senior role. And for Payday 3, I then became the lead for the animation department. So yeah, I've been here as almost as long as you, Almir. So it's been fantastic 10 years.
And I'm so happy to still have you here, Joakim. You are a great part of the team. And speaking of your work, you've obviously worked with a ton of different types of animations for Payday historically. Talking about Payday 2 before we jump onto Payday 3, do you have any favorite memories working with Payday 2, like when it comes to the animation side of things or just in general?
Yeah, Payday 2 was very different to work on because we were such a small team and it was diesel engine, and we didn't really have like a lot of directors and designers, so it was very much like free for all. So we did a lot of things that we just thought would be fun or look cool. So I was working mostly on death animations and hurt animations on Payday 2, and also the cloaker. So the cloaker's very extravagant looking attacks was my creations. And then I did civilians and most third person animations. So I worked almost like basically on the third person things. So I relied on good first person animators that has been like, you know, the star of Payday because it's a first person game. But as a third person animator, I relied on just creating things that needed for like civilians and NPCs and those kind of stuff. So it's and now it's a similar thing on Payday 3. So still focusing on third person animations, but as always we have a team, so I have talented first-person animators that are doing those under my supervision as a lead.
Any particular animations that you're fond of from Payday 2? Any favorites that you loved working on?
Yeah, as I said, the cloaker stuff was my real baby there, because it was so fun, because he could do very acrobatic, whatever I wanted him to do, we could do it in Payday 2, because we had like a lock-on system, so you couldn't really get away from his kick, which is a little bit of cheating in Payday 2. So people might be frustrated of the cloaker, which was sort of his intention, and then we wanted him also to sort of showing off and be very much that sort of a bully that was something that you love to hate, and that's something I think we achieved very well in Payday 2. So that's sort of one of the most fun character in Payday 2. But besides that, I also, since we were such a small team, I also worked a lot on trailers. So this cinematic trailers on Payday 2, I worked close to the animation director back then, Tor, and then when he was on parental leave, I actually directed 2 of our Payday 2 trailers. So it was
one of them was John Wick, right?
Yeah, it was the John Wick weapon pack, and it was also the Point Break the DLC. So those 2 I was a director on.
The one where we jump from the parachute?
Yeah, exactly. The one. So those 2 I directed, and then I just worked as an animator on many of the other Payday 2 trailers. So that was great fun to be able to do so many different things on Payday.
That's cool. I see a couple of comments here. Those cloakers just drop it raw and kick the shit out of you, says Thundercats UK. Yes, indeed they do, and you have Joakim to thank of that for that. I see the Viking saying, glad we're finally getting first-person animations. Looks badass with the first-time chat. So, the Viking, you allow us to continue into our next segment, which is showing off many of the new interactions, not all of them, but many of the interactions that we've been making for Payday 3. Chat, are you ready to see some of the new interactions that we're coming out with before end of November? I need to see it in chat before we go over and do this. Do you want to see this or not? All right. So we're gonna we've got 2 videos with us today that we're gonna share with you all. That we're going to talk over, and afterwards we're going to do like a Q&A, so if you have questions in chat. I saw somebody commenting if Joakim can animate an offline mode. Unfortunately he can't. That's not how game development works, but thank you for your comment. But if you have any questions regarding animation, about Payday 3, Payday 3's future, you know, what Joakim thinks about animation, what direction it should go and so on, then's the time to ask it. But I see a lot of yeses in chat, so I think that's our cue to start showing the first video, which is first-person animations. So I'll leave the mic over to Joakim, and he can let us know what we're watching at. So yeah, have a look, Heisters. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, so basically we are looking at interactions. So first-person interactions was something that the community was asking for, and as an animator, of course, we love those. So we were glad that it came up, so we could prioritize that. And these are just a few of, I think we're gonna add like 20 in the upcoming patch. So these are just some of these that you can see looping here in the background. And we will continue just adding more and more for upcoming patches. So it's something we feel is very fun, and it helps like the immersion of the game. So I'm very glad that we finally get these into the game. So yeah, very cool stuff, and you can see here some of them, but it's gonna be more than what you see here, and we're gonna continue adding more and more as time goes by, because this is something we really enjoy doing, and we think it's sort of eye candy. It's not like you don't need it, but it helps you with immersion a lot. And I got good feedback from the QA team and everyone that has played test this. They are also feeling that this is a good thing to add to the game. So yeah, I'm glad to be able to share that with everyone today.
Do you have any favorites out of the ones we're watching? Anyone that were particularly interesting for you or that you find important?
Well, everything is sort of important. I say that for me to grab, money and the bags are the most important part, because that's sort of the goal of the game is to grab money. And so I like this bagging animation. It's really neat, because then you can sort of understand, like, yeah, this is the important stuff. So bags are sort of what I think is very cool to have, and the other interactions is just more a good way for the players to feel immersed instead of looking at the F, filling up the F circle or whatever. That was not as interesting to now be able to interact with things in the level. So I can go into more in details what sort of system we're using, but maybe we can talk about that later on in this, because some people might find that interesting to be more like technical how it's done. But for now we can probably take a look at the other video that we have.
Just before we do that, I just want to say, I'm seeing a lot of comments, chat, really appreciate it. All of you seem very excited about these animations. I see Send Frolic saying, the game feels more alive because of these animations. Thank you. Also, will there be animations when crouching, like crouch shooting or scoping while crouched?
So if we're talking about first-person animations, it's sort of the first-person animation when you shoot is actually just the camera that's switching height. so you already, and in third person you do crouch when you crouch. So all that I would say we already have actually. So it depends on what you actually mean. So but yeah, you can crouch and shoot, and you can crouch and do things, but in first person, as I said, first person is just the camera height. So, and then in third person, it's a third person representation of the first person. So that's also something you have to take in consideration. This is a first person game, and all the third person animations on the players are representations of that. So the NPCs, they have like a different system, because they have more time, so they can actually, maybe if they throw a grenade, for example, you have time for an anticipation and a follow through. But for a first person game, on the player, if you press the button, the throw button, you need an immediate throw of the grenade. So you don't have the same amount of time as if you were doing a third person game, or as we can now do for the NPC. So the grenadier, he can have a nice like anticipation and follow through when he's throwing, but in first person it needs to be very instant. And that's sort of also with these interactions, they are very instant, because the timing in first person, it's the gameplay tempo we need to adapt to. So we're not doing the Red Dead Redemption style of interactions where it takes too much time, because we still want the gameplay is always being the most important thing. So that's why some of the interactions might feel a little bit rushed or fast, but that's just because we always have to think about the core gameplay and the design, and we can't just do a super long, super nice looking animation, because then you would get stuck in that animation and you can't really play the game because you need to be able to continue your objectives that you have. So we don't want to lock you into a super long sequence.
I hear you, dude. Super interesting listening to you, Joakim, talking about the intricate details of animations. And I see a comment here from Gimme saying, looks generally fantastic. Cynically, I feel these things should have been there from release, but I'm glad we have them now. Speaking of that, can you comment on a topic like, I think any free update we will do in the post-launch, we will have some players saying, oh, this should have been there at release or something like this. But you have obviously not been sitting on your hands during development, right? You've had a lot of work to do. Is there any reason why these are coming into the post-launch, or can you go into a bit of that?
Yeah, I can tell some secrets about game development, which is sort of, when you develop a game, you always have an amount of a budget and a time, and then you have to prioritize things. So it's always like you have to kill your babies or kill your darlings, and that was sort of what happened with the first person animations, that since it was not super important for the game, we needed the programmers to focus on things that, like the AI and things that we really needed for the game. So that's why this came in a little bit later, because we had to build those very important systems and then code, because this is actually code driven. Even though you might see the animations, this is 2 weeks of programming that made us this possible, because it's not one button. It's not like, yes, you're pressing F, but you're doing different interactions depending on what props you're interacting with. So that's a rather complex programming that's needed in comparison if it was just like a throw, which is always on one key binding. You always play just a throw. But here we had to write code so it understood what prop or art are you interacting with, and then what type of animation will be played, and how are we gonna sort of matching it with the time that was set by either level design or design. So it needs to fit that. So if it's an instant interaction or if it's a loop and so on and so forth. So it was those complexities that made us rather early on just saying that, yeah, we know this game is gonna continue evolving and we're gonna improve upon it. So we just had to take that tough decision to make sure that we had even more important stuff in the game. So I understand that people would have, I would also have loved to see this at release, but we couldn't really fit that into the tight schedule we had.
Yeah, and I think it's great. Thank you for that explanation, Joakim. I think it's super important for us in the community to like remind ourselves that there is no reason for us not wanting to add these things before launch. It's a question of time and priorities and making the game, finalizing it for a certain date, knowing in our minds, because you and I know that we have a long post-launch ahead of us where we want to add so many cool different things. That's when we can start doing these kind of magic things, right? Because all of the existing systems are now there. They're done. Now we can start focusing on these quality of life improvements and really upgrading the experience, making sure you heisters feel that it's more immersive. And if anything, I just like to correct you on one thing that you mentioned earlier, that you said that it doesn't really matter that much. But I know that you think it does, right? But I just want to highlight that or underline what you think in your heart of hearts. This really matters, doesn't it, chat? I think it's super important, these kind of quality of life features like new first-person animations for that immersion in-game, to make sure that it feels new, that it feels fresh, that it's not just like a copy of Payday 2, but that it somehow improves and becomes an evolution of Payday, right? Like Stateless Spark says, it does matter. It adds so much more life to the game. I completely agree, and it really is a great opportunity for you, being one of our devs, to really showcase your handcraftsmanship, your work, and I mean the work ethic. Putting all of these together in such a short time has been amazing. And this is just the start, chat. You know, this is the first real content patch. We've got these beautiful new animations coming in, but. And now for something completely different, like Monty Python says. I saw a question from Isaac Walker here on YouTube saying, Joakim, how do you get so jacked?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Isaac. Isaac is actually one of our talented animators at the studio. So, and he's even more jacked than me. He's just not trying to show it as much as I try. So,
Yeah, well, there we go. Thank you, Isaac. Appreciate you, dude. All right. I see a question here or a comment from Cladis on Twitch saying, "I generally love the bagging animation that looks like you're trying to catch a badger."
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on the bagging animation? How was it to do that?
Yeah, that was made by Knut, and other talented animator, and the fun part was that that bag isn't really skinned like a cloth bag, so we were like, how can we make this animation with like within the limitations we have, because we don't have a super fancy bag rig with that can do like what the real bag could do, that was made of real cloth. So he just figured out a really cool way to actually make us bag all the money in a very fast way also, because we had a really like very short time for that interaction, so it needed to be rather instant, and I think the solution is very pleasing to see, and you feel like, yeah, I got that pile of money.
Cool. I see a service saying, "Oh my god, oh my good god, animations for just about everything. That's genuinely amazing." I wholeheartedly agree, service. Our animation team has really rocked our socks off with these animations. Speaking of which, are you ready, chat, to go on to our next video? This is only the first one, so we've got another video prepped for you all. You want to see it? Let me know in chat. Let us know. In the meanwhile, we can answer this question from PAYDAY. Are there any interactions that won't get an animation for whatever reason?
So some of them are not done by this patch, so we will continue adding more and more.
Secret for now, then?
Yeah, they're gonna be secret. So, and what you saw in the video was not all of them. I think we have like 20 of them for this patch, and we will continue adding on. The things that are not actually working within this code system are throwing bags into the vans and helicopters. So that's something we need to investigate how to make those, because it's a total different system. so that's sort of, yeah, sadly you will not see your throwing. You will see the bag, of course, like before, but you will not see any nice looking first person interaction animations for that at this point in time. But yeah, my goal is of course that we're going to solve that in the future, but for that I need to figure out how code will handle that, since it's actually not a part of the interaction system. It's, yeah, so that's a little bit tricky. But, and other than that, we have some like the mini games will still be mini games. So when you're lock picking and cracking the safe, we didn't put in any first person animations on that because we don't want to distract the players from.
Already got another element.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was a decision that was like, people were like, it's going to be confusing if you see hands when you're doing a lock picking game. So that's, but we will have, I can spoil that we will have lock picking when you rescue your teammates from the handcuffs. So we will, so we sort of trying to find things that are nice interactions and make sense for the players, even though we're not snapping the camera or anything. We're doing these interactions sort of not like as Red Dead Redemption, which is very much like snapping a character to a specific point in the level to be perfect. Here we have like the interaction box is rather big, so because we don't want to force a player out from where they want to stand, because they might be hiding, and if you hide and try to pickpocket, for example, if you would snap them together, the character and that guard, maybe you will be seen by the camera. So we had to be rather generous with the interactions. So that's why we're not snapping the camera or characters together. So those systems wouldn't really fit PAYDAY. So these interactions are made to fit the core like gameplay and the tempo we need for this particular game. So yeah, so
I just Before we go on to the second video we've got prepped for you, just one final question here from Ronald Skranovskis, who says, any special animations for cooking meth?
Ooh, should we spoil those things? I will say like this: it's coming, but it might not come at the release of those heists. I have to double check, because I think that those will be added a little bit later, because I think if I remember correct, we already sort of finished those heists. And then after that we started working on it when we got all the props and everything and the art done. So I'm fairly certain that sadly you will not see it when the heist releases, but we're like 1 week behind. But they will come in when the next patch comes.
You heard it here, chat. Cooking animations, essentially. Let's just call it that. Yeah. Incoming. When exactly we do not know yet, but when it happens, I'm sure you'll be happy. Like Twatcher says, next video. Let's show it. So let us know here, Joakim, what we're watching in the second video.
So here you can see that we added weapon inspects, and this is, I think, is very cool. So you're using the selection wheel, and then you can actually, if you don't have a weapon, you will actually inspect your gloves. But if you have a weapon, you will inspect your weapon. And I think it's super important in the game when you are sort of pimping your weapon. Oh yeah, here you can see the gloves. That's super nice. So because you can have different gloves, and you can also have like what we call them, the stickers and the charms and other cool things you have done to personalize your weapon, and then you of course you want to see it in game. So this, I think, is so cool to be able to now see your gloves or your weapons like this. It looks amazing. Look how nice those weapons are. Like, not only the animation, look at the quality of those weapons. It looks super nice.
Louis Wo says, these are amazing. Thank you. Nick Reeser says, you guys have been cooking. Yeah, we have indeed. And I think it's been super important for us, given everything that's been going on since launch with Payday 3, for us to just focus on our work and make sure that we make you heisters proud by adding these new features for the game. And thankfully, these are free. Like adding new animations is a very important part for the experience, something we'll happily work on. I see Quentin Kill saying, hi, how are you, Payday? We are good, dude. We are talking about animations, and if you're new to the stream, just arrived recently, I'm sitting here together with Joakim, who is the animator, together with the rest of the animation team, working on Payday 3 together with us. And he has a history of 10 years with Payday. So he's been here almost as long as I have, which is amazing. It goes to show like our love for the IP, for Payday, for you guys in the community, every heister out there, how much we care for this game. So Klewek says, Almir, let us know when the update is going to certification. What I can let you know is that the update will come out before end of November. So I think that says enough. It's not that many days left of November now. So anytime now, gang. Anytime. Yeah, Neox, I just answered that question. When is the patch available? Before end of November. We can't give the specific date yet, but it's before end of November. Cool. So we've seen the two videos now. Maybe should we show gang chat? Do you want us to loop the second video, or do you want us to go back to the first video and loop that while we continue talking to you all?
I can try to alternate between them as well.
Yeah, you want to do that? So we can alternate between them, but we can go back to the first video so you can have a look at the animations. It feels like we already forgot how they look, right? But they're so cool. Like even for me, having been on the inside here looking at these, seeing them live together with you, chat, is just amazing. And there are so many of them. First of all, like there's more than a dozen, like you said, coming for this free update, and they look so cool. Like they are so on point. I'm seeing a question here from Shockzilla saying, "Hi team, I just got here. Sorry if this been already asked, but when will there be new heists? Me and my friends gone through them all already. We're very anxious." So I've got happy news for you, Shockzilla. We have 2 new free heists coming before end of November, which is less than 10 days now. These are Turbid Station and Cook-Off from Payday 2. So they are something we call for Payday 3 legacy heists that we have reimagined for Payday 3. So you will know, if you've played them in Payday 2, you'll know how to get around, how to get stuff going. But they will be reimagined, which means that there will be some differences in order for us to make sure they work as good as possible for Payday 3.
Another note on that, they are rebuilt totally. So it's not like you just took the assets from Payday 2 and put them in Unreal. Everything is handcrafted from scratch. So it's as complex as making a new heist. So the art team and everyone has done such an amazing job, because they haven't just ported things over. They had to do everything because it needs much higher poly count and higher texture qualities and everything, because the old assets were it's
Much
such
more simple.
Yeah, it's such diesel engine and 10 years old assets. You can't use them. So it has been really hard work for the art team. So a big shout out to the art team and everyone else, the level designers and the programmers, because we had to make new code, because some of the things that we have in Payday 2, we sort of also wanted to sneak that into Payday 3, but then we had to write new code. So so it has been a very big work for everyone involved. So remember that it's not like a easy fix, because if it was, then all heists from Payday 2 would just be super simple to make into Payday 3, and sadly they aren't. So it's a lot of work, but it's a fun work to be able to do those like legacy heists, since we are aware that the old and new players will really appreciate them.
Joffrey says, shout out to your whole team, guys. You couldn't have done it without your whole team. Yeah, that is true. Everyone is involved in one way or another when it comes to making an update like this. And great explanation, speaking on the legacy heists. Some people seem to think in the community that it was easier for us somehow to use Payday 2 legacy heists and add them to Payday 3. On the contrary, that's one, it's been asked about many times when we've streamed in the community, on the subreddit, Steam Hub, elsewhere. You in the community have been asking about previous heists, and we want to listen to the best of our ability, and that's why we've started by adding 2 of them for Payday 3. And if you like them, then who knows, maybe we'll be adding more. I think that's very much up to how your feedback in the community. I'm looking for questions here. Do you have any questions for Joakim, chat, while we have our special guest here? I see Srent Frolic saying, seeing the glass cutting as an animation when the first trailer came out, we all knew the game would really feel alive. Yeah, absolutely. And we've just started our work in the post-launch, right? Improving that sense of immersion. Let's see. If you don't mind, chat, I'm going to focus on questions regarding animations, given we've got Joakim with us. I think this one? Animations for body armor and medkits, asks El Saikito.
I think if you look at this video, you will see that we have actually Yes, we have that, but not sure that we're showing both of them. But you can see that you're picking up armor. I think it is in this video. So we're gonna have, so you can pick up armor and health pack from your bags. So yeah, so those are there, and if they are not in the first patch, we will continue working and adding those kind of things. So the goal is to have, yeah, here you can see very fast you're picking up, yeah, and I think that was an armor plate that you picked up, and it's going to be essentially the same thing, but with the medic bag that you're picking up a medic patch from that bag. So yeah, so those should be in already in this upcoming patch, and as I said, if they're not there, don't be too impatient, because we continue working on more and more interactions.
Thank you. So I got a question from Nuclear here saying, how would it work with flipped animations for left-handed?
Oh yeah, that's sadly very complex. So there's no easy way to do that, because the rig and how Unreal works, it's no simple mirroring tool. If we would mirror everything, we need to mirror the full body as well. Otherwise you would sort of break the third person upper body, because it's a upper body system as well. On top of that, I think like a simple mod could probably just force mirror the first person like animations, but I don't know if it's like a good way doing it or a easy way to do it. So sadly that I have to say that I can't answer that, but if it would have been easy, we would have done it. So it's probably not an easy solution to just mirror things. So that's gonna be no, we will not have an option to mirror animations.
Cool. Got another question here from Stick in a Box saying, Joakim, any hurdles or issues when working on getting certain animations to play out right? Is this a mix of coding and mocap, or just coding? Is it tough to just not want to add an animation for everything?
Yeah, exactly. I talked a little bit about this in the beginning, and yeah, this is programming. The code that we needed for this was, since it's the F button, but the F button needs to do different interactions depending on what you're interacting with. So each art prop then needs to understand what they are and then call for a specific animation that fits that prop. And it also needs to look at like how much time it's gonna take, and that's set from level design, and then it might be a loop or an interaction that finish immediately or at exit. So then also code needs to look at that, and it can sort of speed it up or slow it down a little bit if necessary. So it's a lot of code, and then these first person animations are keyframe by hand. So this is no motion capture on first person. We don't use motion capture on first person, because it looks better when you keyframe by hand when it's a first person animation. And same with weapon reloads and the weapon inspects. All these are hand keyed by hand. So it's a very like artistic endeavor to do, and
time consuming.
Yeah, exactly. And we have great animators doing those. So yeah, it's a combination of a great programmer, which we have thankfully, and great animators to create these animations.
I see a question here from Whistler3 yelling, will we be able to see our legs someday?
Yeah, the legs, that's also some of, I talked about kill your darlings early on. So to see our legs, it's not impossible to do, but it's nothing we have set on our priority list right now. So it might come in the future. I can't answer. I can only say that, yeah, it's not impossible to do. We had it actually in Overkill's The Walking Dead. so you can do it in Unreal. It's just something that we haven't prioritized, but that's good that people bring it up. So the more people that bring that up from the community, the bigger chance it has to be prioritized and added to the game. But we don't have a quick solution for it right now, so it's nothing simple that we can just flip a switch on to add. But please, if those kind of things we're eager to hear what the community wants, then we can prioritize from how complex it is and see when we have time to do it, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. We've got a question here from Stealth Master Flex. Any chance we can get the painting bags to look like they did in Payday 2? That there's special bags for them?
Yeah, interesting with different bag types. So I can say that different bag types, we haven't started working on like that cylindrical version that he talked about for the art in Payday 2. So, but we will actually have some different bags coming in the future, but they will not be like those art, like cylinder bags. But so yeah, that might come in the future, but right now it's a no. But yeah, we will have a little bit more different bags coming.
Jackson Walter says, can we get a thumbs up added to the emote wheel?
Ooh, interesting part. We're coming to the emote wheel. Yeah, that's something we have to investigate more about. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. That's a really cool idea to yeah, I like that idea. I will note that down and talk with my team and everyone else involved and see what we can do, because it would be nice to be able to do cool things with that in the future. But for now, I will say that it's an amazing idea. I will bring that to the table when I talk to my team and the rest of the developers.
Thank you, Joakim. We got a comment here from Sui Pansar, who I can only assume is a Swedish heister, saying, Joakim, if you are responsible for the menu lobby heister idle animations, please remove the heister's fingers from their gun triggers. It bothers me.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because yeah, the system we have for that menu is sharing the IK system we have for the weapons when you're in combat. That's the reason. So we need them to write new code to be able to have a total different IK system. So the IK system is how you can have sort of shared animations for rifles that have different lengths. So, and that system then have an offset of the hands with the IK system, and the IK system have a pose that fits that specific weapon. But since we only right now have code for the hand poses for combat, we didn't have like a trigger, what you call it, like a trigger discipline IK system solution for the menus, and we sort of just be like, no, they don't have any trigger discipline, so we can live with them doing like the combat finger pose for now. Maybe they will learn trigger discipline in the future, but not right now.
Just like every heister is right-handed, is what we agreed, right? So yeah, okay. Thank you for that. I see Spongy asking, is anything coming in December? Yes, we have content planned for December. If you look at the year 1 roadmap, syntax error should be arriving then. But before then, I mean, we're still in November. We've got these 2 beautiful heists coming up, these first-person animations that you can see on screen right now as well, including a ton of other things that we're looking forward to talking more about on Thursday, actually, because on Thursday Elizabeth will be back streaming, and she's also gonna have a special guest. And yeah, you definitely do not want to miss out on that stream, chat. So let your heister friends know, put it down on the calendar. It's going to be a really interesting stream together with Elizabeth and Andreas. So make sure to tune in for that one as well. All right. Brunog1346 says, I have a question. Are animations seen by all players or just the player that does it?
Yeah, exactly. This is first person animations that we focused on, because the third person system is much more complex, because then you have to replicate it on servers, and that's a complexity that the programmers was like, that needs much, it's going to be super tricky to do. So they were like, we're going to start with first person animations for now, and then if we in the future can figure out how to replicate things, then we need to do everything on third person as well, and then we need the code to be able to actually replicate that thing. So it's very complex. So we thought it's a first person game, and we started with the things that we think is most important, and that's the first person immersion.
Thank you, Joakim. So I got a pretty long question here. I'll answer the first part of it, and I'll leave the second part from you. It's from Stormy Pegasus 12, who says, "Is there a Dev Update 2 coming out anytime soon?" My answer to that is yes. We'll let you know when it's ready. Also, can I ask if a bag fill system can be implemented, where loot types can fill the bag like small piles, fill it 25% and other fill it 50% like jewelry? Adding the ability to carry money and gold in one bag, making the bag heavy but not too heavy for the value, and cosmetics for bags and the van other than mods?
Oh, some of these I can't answer because it's not animation related, and unfortunately nothing is sort of purely animation related, because then you need a different system. If you want to sort of do it like Crime Boss does, that you're swiping your arm 4 times to fill your bag 100%. So then if you do 1 arm swipe, that's 25. 2 arm swipes would be 50, and so on and so forth. That's a total different system. I think Crime Boss did that very well. we didn't do it like that because we didn't have a system to track that. So then we are only gonna fill a bag with 100% once the interaction is finished. So that was just either a design choice, or it was from us not thinking about another way to do it. So I can't really answer, but that's not just an animation thing. That's gonna involve code and many other departments if we would go for a Crime Boss system. But I think we will stick to the Payday system.
I see Garplay and a few others have been asking about the middle finger animation. When?
Yeah, exactly. You were talking about the emote wheel. So perhaps if that's something we will give an overhaul in the future, then we will see what we can do. Crazy like what you call it, emotes. Yes, but right now we're not gonna give anyone the middle finger for now, but we will see. I think those are really fun ideas.
Cool, thank you. Let's see. Saint Nack says, will there be an ability to upgrade our game or purchase a season pass for the first year DLC? We're gonna speak more about that as we get closer to the first DLC launch, Saint Nack, but it's a great question. But unfortunately, we do not have a good answer for you right now. Starbreeze, thank you for all of your hard work. We all appreciate everything you do, says Stealth Master Flex. Thank you for saying that. We really appreciate it. And I would argue Joakim is one of the developers that spends most of his time, his free time, mind you, looking at your comments online, watching videos, and sharing it internally with the rest of the dev team. So how do you feel like with the Payday community? Do you feel you have their support when you're working?
Well, I'm doing this game for the players, so that's why I when we had like our tough times when we were under reconstruction, and I so much wanted to do Payday 3 because of the players we had on Payday. So for me, the community is why I'm doing this. I of course love animation, but I am so much like fell in love with our community that likes this game. So it's a reward for me to please them and entertain them. So that's why also I look at so many videos from different players, because I get very like warm and fuzzy inside when I see people get amused and having fun playing the game. And of course, with this rough launch, you got also some constructive feedback that I think is very important to listen to. So all of these things that the community brings to us, it's what makes it so fun working on Payday, and it's even more fun now when the game is out and we can continue making the game even better. And that's what I really liked with Payday 2, and what we're going to continue doing in Payday 3 is to listen to community, improving the game, and make sure that it's going to be as fun as possible, because the reasoning I am working on Payday is because the community and all our players, that's sort of why I fell in love with the game. So for me it's like, yeah, I'm always humbled when people are playing and enjoying our game. I probably lost track of the actual question.
That was exactly what it was about. I see a comment here from Saint Knack saying the new animations looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see what the future of Payday 3 holds. Kudos to the devs, hard at work behind the scenes. I wholeheartedly agree. Alex asks, any quality of life additions coming to the upcoming big update? If so, what kind? You know what, Alex? That's something you can ask Elizabeth on Thursday, I can tell. But that is all I will say about it. I see Astolfo here saying there better not be a ring on that finger. So that's, I think that's a compliment, Joakim. Alison Nikakio says, Legacy Heist. Does that mean Legacy Heisters? Yeah, that's a good question. We haven't announced any Legacy Heisters so far. But let's start with the Legacy Heists, shall we? All right. Any more questions from you, chat, to Joakim? Let us know. Maxley says, sorry if this was answered before. Joakim, ever thought about adding joke animations to reloads, like in Battlefield?
That's what all my animators want to do all the time. So I have to be like, no, we can't start by doing those. We need to start by doing like the normal animations. But they are like having so much fun ideas what they would like to do for like April Fools and so on and so forth. But so I will just say, for the weapon inspection animations, we will continue adding more of those, because right now the first patch is just going to be generic inspects, but then we're going to do per weapon family and then per weapon type, and then hopefully in the future we will have per weapon. But right now it's going to be, so understand this, the first patch we're going to have generic weapon inspects, but we will continue building more and more weapon inspections in the future, and maybe we'll snuck in something fun for April Fools in the future. I can't say no or yes to that.
Thank you. I see a Raptor here saying, you guys make me want to move to Stockholm and work for you guys, even if I have to start out as a janitor. Just want to be part of the team. Thank you for that compliment, dude. We appreciate you. Let's see. Getting into the van or helicopter animations, says Big Booty Judy.
Yeah, I've seen that people asked about that, but that's all a little bit more complex than just animation. I always say the animation part is the easy part, but then it's for programmers and coders and those kind of things. So I think the jumping into things will be something addressed later on. If so, I know that's on like the list that community asks for, but sadly I can't just put in an animation there and it's gonna work. It's have other problems sort of that we need to figure out how to solve, if we will be able to solve that.
Got a good question here from Spinklebob saying, will we be able to see the animations in casing mode?
So in casing mode you can't do everything like how the casing mode is set up. But of course, you will have, when you can do that interaction in casing mode, you will have an unarmed version of it. So actually what you see, everything has sort of a rifle pistol grip, which we call it one of the weapon families, which is the assault rifles, and we also have the rifle grip, which is like a sniper rifle, and then we have the handgun, and then we have unarmed. So each interaction is like between 2 and 4 interactions, but depending on what you have in your hands. So if you're in casing mode, you have nothing in your hand, and if you can interact in casing mode with that prop, then it's going to be an animation. And if it's not, then it's just because, as I said, we're adding these as many as we have time to add. So this first patch will not have all animations for all interactions, but we'll continue adding more and more.
Thank you, Joakim. I see a question here from Jura asking, does this all come in the November update? And the answer is yes, it is. I also see a question from Hypesy saying, will we get Almir dollars as stickers? You mean like these? Let's see if you can see them. Yeah, look at that.
Oh,
That's money.
I buy that.
On cue, I had that in my pocket, yeah. Thank you, Absi, for that question. So we only got a few minutes left. I wanted to give the floor to you, Joakim. Anything you want to share with the community? Any thoughts that have been on your mind, or any last words you'd like to say before you go back into it and continue making these dope animations together with the rest of the dev team?
Yeah, I want to just thank the rest of my animation team, which is, of course, the animators, the technical animators, the animation programmer, and then, of course, the rest of the development team, because it's always a team effort. So it's not like we have the hard surface artists and all the other artists, and the programmers, and everyone is always involved in everything. So that's also why I love making games, because it's a team effort, and that's what I think is fun. And also reach out and thank the community for the feedback, even the harsh feedback. I think it's always important, as long as the feedback is a constructive criticism. We're welcoming that, and it's always very, very fun to see people playing and having fun with Payday, and our goal as developers are, of course, to just continue making this game better and better and more fun. And this is sort of the first patch from the animation team, and as I said, not all interactions will come in this patch, but we will continue adding more and more interactions. The same way with weapon inspect, we will continue adding more and more of those to making the game even more fun and immersive.
And I think thank you for saying that, Joakim. Really nice having you here today. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you say, community? Do we enjoy having Joakim here on board with us today, chatting a bit on animations, giving us a better insight into the development of the game? And I'd like to say thank you all for watching today. It's been a great stream. The hour went by really fast, I think. It's been super fun for myself sitting here next to Joakim, helping him sort out the questions for you all, listening to him talk about the intricate technical details of how to make the game come to life, like we can see still on screen. Thank you so much, all of you, for tuning in today. Like I said before in the stream, really make sure to tune in on Thursday. I understand it's Thanksgiving for many of you. Those of you that celebrate, it'll be available afterwards, so you can watch it online. But make sure to tune in on Thursday for Elizabeth and her special guest, where they're going to talk more about, I don't want to spoil it. Let's keep it a secret for now. It's just 2 days away, gang. So thank you so much for all of you tuning in. This is Joakim and myself signing out. Take care, Eisters, and have a great rest of your week. See you soon.